Well, the Damiki rig came around and they used it just with that sonar, 2D sonar, to actually drop it down to the level of the bass. Okay, so we're picturing the bass in 30 feet of water. They would drop, the bass is sitting at 30. They would drop that Damiki rig down to about 28 or 29, about a foot or 2 foot above them. Not plummet through them, not try to hit them in the face with it, keep it above them. And that's the basis of the Damiki rig. You make these fish come up to the bait to eat it. This is not a technique like the drop shot, you drop right to the fish. A Damiki rig, you want the bait above the fish. So they come up and explore it. And that's the way guys fish Damiki rigs. And that's the basis of it. Following those big schools of shad, seeing the big smallmouths down there, trying to figure out a way to do it. Well, let's match the bait. Let's match the bait to it. Let's get a shad looking bait and we'll put it down there and see if they'll bite it. And it worked, okay? Now the same thing happened with tight lining. Tight lining, again, similar areas. I mean, probably Loudon, probably Cherokee, probably Douglas, probably that South Holston, all those lakes, that shad die-off, the tight lining came from that same area, is that same situation. Those shad were dying and they needed a way to catch those fish when they didn't want to chase anything because the little shad are just falling in their mouths. Why would they go chase a jerkbait? Why would they go chase an A-rig? They would not chase stuff as much. Tight lining became a great technique to catch them in that. And the difference between the two is you needed sonar to Damiki rig. Tight lining, you don't need sonar. Tight lining is more of a bluff technique or a point technique or a steep bank technique. Tight lining is basically a technique where you take that shad bait, you throw it to the bank, and you tight line it. You snap your bail over and you tight line it, you just reel slowly and you're shaking the rod tip and that real light bait is just swimming down, It's not hitting the bottom, it's just gliding down towards the bottom like those dying shad. So tight lining, the difference between the two, Damiki fishing is with the sonar, tight lining, no sonar. You don't need the sonar, you're just casting it at objects, okay? Both of them use very similar tackle, similar baits, but they're really, that's the biggest difference. One is you need the sonar, the other one you don't need the sonar. All right, let's see what we got next. All based on that little dude right there, that little shad. Okay, Damiki rig. We're going to go through some of these baits. And as you can see, these, the moon eye bait heads are the most popular. That's the one most guys start with. It's very compact. You can see it on a sonar so well. When you got a lot of lead in a small amount, or even if you get some tungsten ones, you got a great pinging. You got a good visual of it. You got shows up very well on sonar, and that's why they use those kind of heads. The baits themselves, you can see, I don't really care. This is the Damiki shad right here. This one and the fourth one down are the Damiki shad. So that's what the name, that was the bait they actually used. This is a hand-poured one. This is a Reaction Innovations one. This is a hand-poured one, a hand-poured one. This is a little fluke. Looks like a shad. I don't care what bait you're going to use on the bait. You just want to match the shad. So if your shad are bigger, yeah, I'm going to use one of these bigger baits. If these shad are smaller, I'm going to downsize everything. And that's the biggest key, is matching that exact size. And that head, like I said, was designed for maximum sonar refraction. So basically you could see this thing down there. You knew when it got 28 feet. If you use too small a head, it's just a little harder to see the bait. But this one allows you to. Now they like the heavy one. This is a 3/8. This is a fairly heavy bait. This is one that I would use because it gets right to the level and you can get to right where you need to be with that bait. It's simple rigging. Make it look real. Thread it on as straight as you can. As straight as you can. You want it straight as you can on there. Now the two things you can do when you tie this on, a lot of guys like a loop knot, open hook. I like to use a regular Palomar knot, but I like to have it tied to the back of the hook, to the back side of that eyelet, so that bait sits horizontal. You want that bait sitting horizontal. If your line ties up here, the bait's going to sit like this. So however you do that, if you've got a really good balanced one, you can tie a loop knot and it'll sit. But most of the time I have to tie it to the back side of that hook, that eyelet right there, to get it right. Simple thing to do. You don't even need a pool. A lot of times I say take it to a pool. Well, I know my pool's covered up right now because it's not used. I can't use my pool to test baits. You can take it to sink, drop your line. You just want that bait when it's in the water to sit as close to this horizontal as you can get it. Like we talked about with that drop shot, that's where you want it. So you don't want it sitting like this down there. That doesn't look right. So get it as horizontal as you can. Use whatever jig head you have to do that, and whatever knot you have to do to try to get it that way.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.